Hello and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms, the podcast that provides you with all the latest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are looking to substantially increase your caseload in the next 6 months, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy. Welcome to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, everyone. I hope you guys are having a rockin' week thus far. Today is Meet the Attorney, as I do twice a month in this show. And I want to introduce you to a person who has a great story that I just got to know. I've been following her on LinkedIn a little bit. And I just want to get into a little bit of what she does, to introduce you guys to her to see if there's anything that she can do for you. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the great Heidi Davis. How you doing?
Well, I thank you for that introduction, Frank, and I thank you for having me on your show today. So hopefully I can help your listeners have a little bit of education about what I do, and hopefully we can get the word out.
Awesome. Speaking of what you do, why don't you introduce yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm Heidi Davis. I am an Arizona attorney. So I'm licensed in the state of Arizona. I practice both juvenile law and family law. So those are my two areas of practice. So a lot of people confuse juvenile law with family law. It's two different areas of law. So juvenile law is where the state of Arizona is involved. So that's used to be CPS, but now the DCS. Cases when there's state involvement, juvenile dependencies, juvenile delinquencies, guardianship, severances, all the heavy duty, nasty, icky stuff. And then if you have a parent that's at least, able to parent, the family law stuff is the regular run of the mill divorce cases, sometimes without children, sometimes with children, but more dividing property or custody issues or parenting or child support, spousal maintenance, those type of things. Those are my two areas that I practice in. So used to be an assistant attorney general, so I've kind of stuck with the juvenile law area, and I've also practiced family law as well because it's a good partnership.
Awesome. So, out of curiosity, let's talk about juvenile law, because I don't have anyone that has been on the show that discusses juvenile law. I mean, I have a ton of family law attorneys and personal injury attorneys, et cetera, but juvenile law, I find that intriguing. So, like, for instance, let's say on the family law side is a child custody case. Does that ever infiltrate into the juvenile law side?
Oh, sure it does. I mean, so when you have a juvenile case, there's neither parent is willing or able to parent. And so the state of Arizona has to temporarily step in immediately to kind of figure out what's going on. Most of the common cases that you deal with in juvenile law are they used to be CPS back in the day. I heard you attempt to call me a young lady. I am not, so I appreciate that. I've been practicing 23 years, so I appreciate the shout out there. But I know we've got some video going, so I must have the feature on there. So, but I've mostly come across cases in juvenile law where it's the DCS state agency. So if there's no parent that's willing and able to parent the child in the state of Arizona, the state has to jump in for safety issues. And so they kind of put the parents' rights on hold, and then they provide services to the parents and services to the child. And they have to do certain things like, go to a judge before they take away the child out of the parent's home. They have to make sure that it's done correctly and legally. And then they offer services to repair that restore that family bond. If they can't do that, that's when you see things like termination of parental rights or guardianships that are put in place. So that kind of explains that. You also have children, sometimes the teens that act out. So you have juvenile delinquency cases, so that where the parents, neither parent is willing or able to parent the child due to the actions of the child. So the child might be in juvenile detention. The child might have committed a crime or something and still a minor. So those are still juvenile cases. But if the parents are not able to control their child or able to parent due to sometimes substance abuse, sometimes mental health, sometimes just luck of the draw with an angry child. So those are juvenile cases. So that's how I kind of explain that. So hopefully that helps.
No, very, very helpful. Now, what of those? I know those are your two main focuses. What's your favorite of the two?
Oh, well, I will tell you, I've been practicing juvenile law in the state of Arizona since 2007. So it is rewarding and refreshing when you can get in there and make a positive change in people's lives. Before we went on air, a little bit about my after I left the state. So I was an assistant attorney general for the state of Arizona in 2007. I joined the attorney general's office, but I went into private practice on my own in 2014. So my law firm motto was bringing compassion to families in crisis. So when I was private practicing for 9 years, and I've just recently joined the firm of Gillespie, Shields and Taylor, wonderful firm. They've kind of adopted my motto, but they are very good at, offering other areas of law as well. So they do employment, family, probate, civil, criminal, immigration, appeals, myriad of other things, tech cases. Just got a new attorney on staff. But my point is that my favorite type of case is the ones where I can make a difference in the family's lives. So I keep a kind of running total in my head of how many families I've helped, not how the cases come to me, but what can I do to make an improvement in their lives. So I think some of those, sometimes it'll be the family law cases where there might be an order of protection. We have someone coming in to do a consultation with the firm. My consultations are, I get my clients in immediately. My consultations are educational in nature. I give actually homework during my consultation sessions. They get a Gillespie Shields pen and they write down things they can do to improve themselves. So, and if they want to engage with me as an employee, yes, attorneys are employees. We have to have a clear understanding of what our employment contract is. So I like to have clients that engage, that I can make a difference in their lives. If they're just coming to me to be that pit bull and heels, as they call me, then sometimes that can lead to not emotionally satisfying cases when they just want to depend on my skill set and not go for their growth. But the ones that I prefer are the ones where they have the most growth out of my clients. So
that could be that could be on either side, Dick. So if you have the most, I got you.
Either side, and a lot of that comes out in the consultation. So people sit down an hour with me. Usually I go over because you see I like to talk, kind of a thing. But if they have a clear understanding of what they can do, they get empowered. They have things they have to go out and do themselves to help me litigate their case the best. So of the types of cases, the juvenile law and the family law, I do mostly litigation within those cases. So a lot of attorneys do more paperwork, I guess you could describe it as, and some attorneys are really adept in court, and I'm a litigator. So that's kind of how I explain that. But, so I like to prepare my client for that ultimate experience of going in court in front of the judge. But if we can resolve some things ahead of time to bring down their anxiety levels, to bring down their costs, and to get a positive outcome for their case, that's ultimately what we want to do by bringing compassion to families in crisis, getting them a resolution that has them with a fresh start rather than being in crisis.
Yep. So. Totally get that. Now you said something here that caught my attention. The whole pit bull and heels. What's the deal with that? I like that.
So my trial style is I wear heels, and I'm 5'5", so I got a little bit of a Napoleon complex going, I guess. But I'll admit that. But I my trial style is very, I'm soft spoken. I'm very methodical in my tone. I mean, socially, I have a canine at home, so I have to be regulated. So he's a canine, so so you have to be regulated because my tone changes. He's on alert. When I'm in trial, it's like I don't raise my voice unless there's a reason to, right. And so it's just so they just kind of know that, there's sometimes pit bulls don't bark. Sometimes they just bite. So I just kind of quietly go about my business, and, so I do my litigation in court. That's where the fighting happens, and there's no need to fight outside of them unless there's a reason to raise your voice. So that's just the nickname they gave me when I was litigating out in Pinal County. So I just kind of stuck. So
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you this, like, and I know this is probably people ask you this all the time. This is a cliche question, but I'll get to the hard stuff later. But out of curiosity, what makes you different from other family law and juvenile law attorneys?
We'll be back after a quick break.
Hey guys, I hope you guys are enjoying today's content. While I have you on here, I want to introduce you to a promo that we have going on for the spring of 2024 for all legal practices throughout the U.S. I have an outstanding offer that we've never been able to offer before, but we want to do it because you have been an avid listener. We're only promoting this to people who listen to the show. So if you're an attorney and you are an avid listener to the show and you're thinking about possibly opening your own practice, you want to pay attention to this announcement. We are offering a full website with hosting, SSL certificate, online booking service, online appointment management, and more, and much more, with a 1-year maintenance, all for $2,250. That's $2,250 one-time fee, and you have a full-fledged website. If you want to know more about this, just give us a call at 888-416-7752 or send us an email at info@lbmsllc.com. Just make sure that you mentioned that you heard it on the show, and we'll definitely get you that discount. So with that, I'm going to bring you back to the content.
Well, I think it would also come down to what I have just said about my litigation style, my approach to litigation. So I'm more of a teaching attorney. So I think the reason I got into law, and also making a difference, but my background and why I decided to even practice law is makes me unique. Also being Black, being female, perspective, being, somebody who's out there networking, being a survivor of domestic violence, being a canine handler, being, a different mix of person, all that kind of, makes me a different type of attorney. But I do have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology and a minor in social work. So a lot of what I do is empowering the client and looking at their strengths. So I have to draw off of my strengths, and knowing that I was once on the other side as well. I'm not saying as a state's attorney, I was also on the other side as a struggling parent having to pay an attorney, and and I had another divorce without children. So I've done they call them family court cases with children and family court cases without children. So I've been on both those sides. And I've been, when I go into an OOP, which is an order of protection here in Arizona, I remember I'm a survivor of domestic violence too. And I am able to hold my head up too. So I have to advocate for that client, like, remembering back to that sense of, how did I get through this, but empowering the client and making sure I advocate on behalf of my client. So it makes me a different type of attorney just because of my social perspective, everything from your upbringing to your, lived in Arizona most of my life, but, I wasn't born here, but I'm pretty much an Arizonan. So, but your perspective lends to your practice. So people know me as, if I say I'm going to do it, it may be quiet, it may be soft spoken, but if I say I'm going to do it, it's about to happen. So let's just make sure it happens smoothly and in the best way. It's going to turn out well for all. So, so that's kind of my style.
Gotcha. So basically, it's your personality that makes you different, and that's awesome.
And I think all attorneys, if they are not practicing law, and I just said recently to another attorney, you should, like when you're running a law firm, the firm shouldn't run you. So it's And also there's a phrase, attorneys are not a bus. You don't just take everybody that just comes to your door. You have to carefully craft and curate who you accept as clients. So if they don't fit my personality, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm really not. So yeah, I had to say that in open court one time. I'm not my client's cup of tea. So yeah.
It's funny you said that. I have a client of mine who is all he wants to focus is on malpractice cases, and he's actually happy with just 2 cases a year. That's all he wants. He goes, Frank, if you could give me 2 cases a year, you were good. That's all I need. He turns down more people than ever, than any other client. So it's funny. So it's like you said, he knows exactly what he's looking for, and he will refer out the ones he doesn't want. So yep, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think that's why I do my consultations in a certain way. If someone can, afford to spend an hour with me of my time, of their time, and I watch them, I watch their body language. I look to see if are they writing down what I'm saying as part of their homework? Are they listening to the 3 things that I require of all my clients? Because I have 3 things that I require that they have to do. So I'll let you know what those 3 things are if you're curious. But
I was about to say, can you care to share what those 3 things?
Absolutely. So I just met a gentleman at a conference this weekend too, and I told him, if you do a consultation with me, prepared to do homework. But the 3 things are, and it's something that anybody can do. But my clients, if I can't get them to engage in their cases, and if they can't do the simple things, then don't expect me to boohoo over how high the bill is if I have to do all the work where there's simple things that they can do. So the 3 things that are required for my clients, first is a calendar. They have to keep a calendar. Just a cheap, go to dollar store, $1.25 store, whatever they're calling it these days. I don't know. They change the name a lot. The dollar store, and get a calendar, just to calendar your dates, the dates that they're supposed to meet with me, their court dates, in my family court cases, the dates that they see their children, because maybe they want a 50-50 custody situation, but they're actually seeing their children 80% of the time because the other parent's not seeing the child. Well, that's going to help me in my litigation if I can actually see what their daily life is like. And so them calendaring their lives and taking responsibility for marking down, maybe CPS came knocking on their door on a certain date. Well, I need to know what date that is, because if I'm writing my pleadings, I need to know the exact date. So
can it be electronic?
I like a written calendar because it takes an I know, because I have to, when I'm preparing for my case though too. So, I mean, the hour that you spend with me in consultation is just setting things up for when I litigate. Because if I have to litigate, it's an ongoing calendar thing. So I want to be able to pull that calendar up and be able to look through the dates and prepare quickly. So,
gotcha.
Can't leave your phone with me, and downloading a calendar to the computer is just extra cost for them. So versus the $1.25 in the dollar store. So, which is, kind of rhetorical, but so that's the first thing, is calendaring, and it just gets you in the habit of kind of knowing where you're at. But even things like no call, no show today for visitation, so things like that, or I have to do my drug test today, because I have some cases, some people have mental health issues, substance abuse issues that they're trying to recover from. So we need to make sure that they have reminders of when they're taking their tests and stuff. So I can have a record of that. And also it's in preparation for litigation. So I can't enter your phone into evidence to answer your question, but it's easier for me to take copies of the calendar and do that for disclosure and have that as written record. So okay. I'm a litigator. That's how I think. So, and the second the second thing that I have them do is I have them keep a journal, because I used to put on when I had my own firm, before I went to Gillespie, Shields and Taylor, when I had my own firm, I wanted to make sure that people understood that, we are counselors at law, but we're not counselors per se. So I do have a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, but my hourly rate as a psychologist is going to be a lot cheaper than if you get just a notebook or a journal. Go to Barnes and Noble if you're fancy, go to the dollar store again and get a memo book if you're wanting to save costs. But I need something, again, written. If there's something significant that went on that my client needs to remember, like on a visitation or we call it parenting time. We don't say visitation here, but parenting time. Like if there was a exchange where the child came back and the pants were too small and the shoes were full of mud, write that down in the journal. It costs you my hourly rate to send me an email to have me answer about shoes are too small. Being a attorney and counsel at law is a heavy burden to make sure that all your clients that they're mentally okay, because when you have them on the stand, you want them to remember all the details of their life. You want them to remember all the things that are important to them, because that's their chance to speak out. So you have to advocate for the things that are important, and they may have a lot of things that are important that happened to them over the last 6 months. But when they journal, you can take their thoughts and make things more concise as you're preparing for trial. So again, a notebook is a good way to kind of also get that frustrations out. So instead of sending an email, an nasty email to the opposing party, I hated that you put the child in small shoes. Just write that letter to me is what I tell them. Put that in your notebook, and then I can phrase that in a way that doesn't sound as kind of griping. So we can make it to sound more legally, statutorily relevant. So
this is used some kind of like an outlet, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
It saves attorney costs. It organizes their thoughts. It helps them also keep track of their own growth, because my practice is about empowering my clients. I think I mentioned before that I'm an employee. So if I haven't done my job, I don't feel, unless I've empowered them to take control of their own lives, because ultimately there's a time when an attorney has to withdraw as counsel. And so when you withdraw, you're leaving behind the parents to do their own parenting, and, you're giving people a fresh start in their divorces. The property has been equitably divided. You hope, you hope that they've gotten a chance to resurrect their lives. So that's what I like to, not that I'm a Pollyanna, but I like to, put a positive look on things. So when you write it down, as we know in our lives, that if we take the time to write it down, it's a lot more, you can convince yourself of when enough's enough, so people tend to come to a reality and come to grips with their situation, rather than complaining to, their attorney all the time and then getting that bill that's expensive. So, it's a good psychological tool. And I mentioned that I've been on both sides. So I had an attorney that advised me to keep a journal as I went, just to keep my thoughts organized. And I always thought that was a good tool. So keeping a calendar, keeping a journal, extremely, extremely important. And I watch to see, when I'm doing my consultations, are they writing down? Are they going to engage in keeping a calendar? Oh, I can do that. That's easy. Okay, well, here's something more difficult. Well, how about keeping a journal? Okay, well, that's a little more difficult. Well, if you have me do the work, it's going to be more expensive. So do a little work on your end. Okay, so they think they can do that. Then I give them the third thing, which is the most difficult thing in my opinion, because it's about introspective. It's the third thing is self-care, because my clients, when they get on the stand, I want them empowered. I want them concise. I want them to be able to make a good impression on the judge, because that's their moment when they're able to reflect about what their case is. And a lot of times, sometimes we have an hour for trial here. Our trial calendars are very congested. So if the judge's calendar only allows for a temporary orders hearing of 45 minutes, that allows 20 minutes for each party to talk, and that's for direct and cross and redirect, and it's not a lot of time. So you're just firing off questions. Or if there's an order protection hearing and the other side is not represented by counsel, and you just gotta get your client to say the right keywords so to make sure they're protected, and that's their personal safety. You have to get them organized. And if they're boohooing and crying, you want them strong, you want them positive, you want the judge to see somebody who's in control, so the court and the attorneys can step out of things. And I kind of learned that too from being an assistant attorney general, because, when you have the state of Arizona parenting because you can't parent, sometimes it's because the parents haven't done their self-care. So if the parents can also do their self-care as well, they can take care of the issues that are causing them not to be able to concentrate on their obligations, their familial obligations.
So out of not just for clarity, when you say self-care, you're not talking about getting your nails done and your hair done.
I am absolutely talking about, I tell people, if it makes you happy, where you can, if your child, here's my thing. If your child is with the other parent, and your child is safe, taken care of, but you just don't like it, and you're going to ruminate on that child being with the other parent, let's focus on self-care. Let's focus on, don't call me up and say, I don't like it that he was 10 minutes late, because that just cost you $36, because that's, that's a phone call, right? Or $72, whatever it is. So just take that money and get your hair and nails done. Absolutely, Frank. I'm telling them, yeah. Or I tell people all the time, look, do your journaling. And we're in Phoenix. So we're in, I'm in Phoenix area. So we are littered with resorts. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that you can I ask them, you like coffee? I mean, who doesn't like coffee? Well, I know some people don't like coffee, but like tea. You like coffee? Do you like tea? Sure, is the answer. Well, how about changing your perspective? Go to the Starbucks and get some coffee and tea and just sit there. But don't go to the Starbucks at a Starbucks. Go to one of the resorts and use their Starbucks. And then walk the grounds. Change your perspective. Do your journaling there. People watch. Don't sit and mope while you can't do anything about, what's going on. If you trust me and my skills as an attorney, if you trust, that your child is safe and it's not in DCS custody, and even if it's in DCS custody, it's because there's some issues and neither parent can parent. So if there's something that you can't do anything about, the only thing you can do if you can't do anything external, then go internal. So if my clients can't look internally, they're going to blame me for whatever outcome comes out of their case anyway. So if they can't do self-care, they're going to say, well, Heidi, I didn't get the, $4.3 million. I only got $4.2 million. I'm just going to roll my eyes and be like, yeah, okay, you high net worth individual. What do you want? So I just, you haven't focused on internal. What are your wants? What are your needs? How am I, what's going to get me to move on? So that's just a, that's just a must in my world. So those are the three things: calendaring, journaling, and self-care. Absolutely. Hair and nails, Frank. Hair and nails.
It. It's funny you say that, because I've been through divorce several times actually, but I remember the last time I got divorced, it was a very stressful thing, and I'm a huge advocate of massages, and every time I was feeling a little down, I would just get myself a massage. So it's interesting that you said that. So I guess I was on the right track.
Yeah, better than paying my attorney's fees. Get yourself a massage. Make you feel better. Yeah, I'm a great person to talk to, but get yourself a massage. It'll make you even better. So
right, awesome. So you've been practicing for 23 years. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I've been an attorney since 2000. So I've had a little time off for COVID, but I've been a licensed attorney since I was in Indiana. So, but I graduated from law school in 2000 from South Texas College of Law. So I've been, even before I was engaged in the afterworld of navigating private practice and government work. Even in law school, I clerked for a judge down in Houston, and then did some work in the civil, in the disability clinic, in the civil clinic they had down there, the disability, helping people with disabilities get their claims.
So you certainly have a lot of experience there. Yeah. I'm going to ask you a little bit of an unfair question, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to give you, it's a two-part question. Part one is, what in these 23 years, I'm sure you've had a plethora of different clients and stuff. I want to know, and I'm sure the audience wants to know, what would your best client say about you? And B, what would your worst client ever? What do you think they'll say about you?
Well, I appreciate all those best clients reviews. We go on to all attorneys across the United States. I don't know if you know this or not, Frank, but they list on AVO. It's www.avvo.
I'm very familiar with AVO. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So AVO. I don't know. Depends on what part of the country you're from, I guess. But
I guess here in the East Coast we say AVO.
AVO. Okay. AVO. Tomato.
Yep. Tomato.
So I do appreciate some of my clients. I recently had I guess my latest review just a few weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Anyway, came to my
hot off the presses.
Yeah, hot off the presses. I guess the most recent one's always the best, but because you don't want anything stale. But she was very happy with the way things went in her case. We were able to kind of do some salvaging of some facts and litigate a very tight case, and she got the result that she wanted. So she was very happy and left me a good review online. So I'll just let that speak for itself. But so I enjoy when I'm able to help people and get the results that they weren't expecting. So
outstanding.
And so probably the clients that the worst clients are the ones that don't listen to my 3 things that they must do.
3 things.
Yes. Yeah. They will tell you, she asked me to do this homework and she wanted me to do stuff. And then she asked me to do stuff and then she charged me for her doing the stuff because she wanted me to do stuff. And so when she did the stuff, she charged me attorney's fees. That's my worst client will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do their homework. The ones that don't do their homework, they don't like me.
And that's exactly why I wanted to ask that question.
Yeah.
Because I figured that's what it, because, you, and as far as I'm concerned, I think, I'm going to answer the other question for you. I think that what separates you. I've interviewed a plethora of family law attorneys and different attorneys, and no one has that system. So kudos to you on that. I think it's a phenomenal system, by the way. So, maybe you should coin it or something, but, or patent it. So not patent, as a trademark it or whatever. I don't know what the term is. But yeah, I like it. I like it, but I can see how certain people will push back on that. That's why I wanted to ask the question. I go based on the way these interviews go. I go based 100% on how you answer it. So, anywho, all right. So, what is next for you? I mean, I know you just moved over from your own practice to this new, not new firm, but you partnered up with some people that you knew in the past. Yep. What's next for Heidi? Tell us.
Well, I've got some fantastic people I'm working with here at Gillespie Shields. We're a group of, I think we're 10 attorneys now strong. Awesome. We just added some new attorneys to the firm. Mm-hmm. So the founding partner, Deanne Gillespie, I've known her since 2007. Mm-hmm. And she was on opposite sides of me when I was the state's attorney. And I'm like, yeah, she took on the state. So I may be a force to be reckoned with, but so is she. So, and I'm like, yeah. So I just always been fast friends with her. So for a lot of years. And so I'm looking at, growing the firm here. Been very happy with the clients that I've gotten here, with the staff that's here. I have 2 wonderful paralegals, and I also have a Spanish-speaking paralegal I rely on as well. So they're awesome. Just wonderful, and it's nice. I mean, being solo for so long, it's nice to have a family environment here. But I'm just hoping to grow here at the firm some more. Like I said, I just started here in April, kind of fitting in, but it's just wonderful to have a place where I'm able to do my lawyering how I'm used to doing my lawyering and getting results that I'm getting, and I just hope to grow here. So I have everything from a business manager to people in accounts receivable to marketing to everybody. So it's just it's a team here. It's a family environment, and it's led by, like I said, Deanne Gillespie is a phenomenal person. We've got Mark Shields and we've got Wayne Taylor are the partners here. And so I hope to follow in their footsteps at someday and, go back to doing big things in different areas of practice, maybe branch out a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with my wheelhouse, but we're doing we're starting to reach out to the community some more. Just getting the word out about Gillespie Shields and Taylor. We're going to be doing a local event here in November. We're still getting some of the details firmed up, but as far as we know, it's going to be at one of the local churches on November 18th, but we want to call it Festival of Information. It's going to be in Spanish and English, so Fiesta de Información. So got tongue tied there. We're gonna have all our attorneys talk a little bit about information about our different areas of practice, and it's going to be free and open to the public. But we're going to talk about kind of some things people need to know, like what happens when, in the area of criminal law, what happens when you get stopped by a police officer, kind of things you need to know. What happens when DCS comes knocking on your door, CPS knocking on your door? What do you need to know? What type of things do you need to know in probate? That'd be Wayne's area. What type of things do you need to know for civil rights? And we do that as well. So immigration, we do immigration work too. So we're going to do community outreach. Doing a lot of networking here since I've been here, a lot of community outreach. And I just hope to really grow the brand of Gillespie, Shields, and Taylor. And I hope to grow here. And I'm given that opportunity, thank goodness, for some really fabulous people. So that's where my next steps are.
Oh. So the next time we have you on the show, you'll be a partner.
Oh, that's my hope and wish. So
no pressure.
That's not up to me. That's not up to me.
Yeah, I know. Out of curiosity, though, so I know those three things we listed. I'm just curious about something. Are there any other types of people you won't take? Any other types of cases, excuse me, that you won't take, irrespective of if they don't do those three things? What's the sweet spot in terms of the cases that you do take? I guess.
Well,
is the question.
I think it's the like, I don't have a preference, father versus mother. I don't have a preference, if it's an order of protection where I'm defending the accused, or if we're going in and prosecuting an order of protection. I don't have a preference between that. It's the type of person that I'm engaging with. So I have an ethical standard that I've held. And I think part of it's due to the whole reason I got into law. So I wanted to live by my own ethical standards. And I think that's what makes this firm such a good fit. It is a very, very, very good firm. The people here are just amazing. They're ethical. They let you, we have ability to bounce things off each other. So if there's somebody who's going to be difficult, who's going to be, you see my tone, I'm not shouting, I'm not yelling. If there's someone that's going to come in and, make vague threats to the other side, they want to get the other side. I don't interest in that. They're just going to rack up attorney's fees and give me.
I'm going to hit them where it hurts.
Yeah. It's like, you do that, then we have criminal defense, and that'd be Mr. Newell over at criminal defense. So so we have that area of practice as well. So, but that wouldn't be my field. But I like my clients to mirror who I am, because it helps with my trial and my litigation. So those are the clients that I'm looking for. But like in our firm, we have a lot of different attorneys with different styles. We do family, employment, probate, civil, criminal, immigration, appeals. We do tech cases. We do juvenile. We do just a variety of different work. And if we don't do it, we can always find somebody that is going to be a good fit for that. Or, there's always the bar association that they can go and, they can sort through that ways as well too. But I'm very picky about my, I'm very picky about my cases, and they have to mirror my personality. So
makes sense. Well, this has all been really, really, really great, Heidi. I want to thank you for coming. But before I let you go, I know you're a very busy woman. Is there anything that I did not ask you that you think would benefit the audience?
Well, I just hope the audience can be educated as far as their legal rights. And if you have a question about something that's going on in your life, please don't wait until the last minute. Reach out to, attorney like Gillespie. We're at GillespiesShields.com. If there's an attorney in your area, each area has their own bar association, but don't let your legal rights fester. Make sure you engage, make sure you, be interested in your own lives. Don't leave that to fate or somebody else. So just hopefully people can, want to wholly take my 3 tips and be more educated and just more wholly things. So, all right.
And that was my next thing I was going to say. Like, what's the website? Did you say, what was it again? Gillespie what?
So it's Gillespie Shields. So www.Gillespie, GillespieShields.com.
Okay. I will put a link to that in the show notes so that way you guys can check it out. I will also put a link to your LinkedIn if that's okay with you, Heidi, if anyone has any questions for you directly.
LinkedIn. You can also find me on Avo, tomato, as well. That's just www.avvo.com. That's Adam Victor Ostrich. I don't know what we use for O, but
what I'll do is I'll put that in the show notes as well, so they can go directly on Avo.
Okay, absolutely, and I answer questions there too as well.
Awesome sauce. Yeah, a lot of attorneys. That's a great source to get an attorney and get to know who they're working with. So, all right, I think this has been really, really great, very informative. Awesome. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and to know how you can help people who have issues, whether on the family side or juvenile side. And I'm sure that if they're in the greater Phoenix area or anywhere in Arizona, they will definitely benefit from your services. So with that, I am going to put an end to this episode. This has been Frank Deming, the local business guy. You've just been blessed by the great Heidi Davis. Take care, everyone. Until next week.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Law Firms, the podcast that provides you with all the latest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you would like to know more about the topic we discussed on the show today, reach out to Frank and his team at 888-416-7752 and schedule a discovery call with one of the marketing consultants. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, send an email to podcast@lbmsllc.com and we will put you on the schedule. With that being said, until next week, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.